My name is Marley G. Burnell, online student of Bryant and Stratton College. My student email address is lowercase b 004555935 at bryantstratton.edu. Today, I'm going to articulate on how my portfolio artifacts connect to the program outcomes of Bryant and Stratton College. I'm just going to briefly state the program outcomes for Bryant and Stratton College and then go into specific details on how my portfolio projects connect to not just the program outcomes, but also discuss its real life applications as well. So for the Associate of Applied Science business degree, there are several program outcomes. Explain the role of business in a global environment. The second is recognize management and leadership skills. The third, demonstrate knowledge of numeric measurements within the business environment to make informed decisions. The fourth, select and apply current technology skills to specific business applications such as social media and cloud technology. Next, identify and apply the basic functions of management such as staffing, planning, organizing, controlling, and leading to the decision-making process. And last, formulate ethical decision-making skills that can be applied in the workplace. So those are the program outcomes for the Associate of Applied Science business degree. So now, let's talk further about how my specific portfolio projects not only connect to the program outcomes, but also talk about its real importance in the real world, in the workplace. So the first program outcome is explain the role of business in a global environment. Unfortunately, it's sad to say, but none of my classes throughout Bryant and Stratton College, I didn't submit any portfolio projects that meet the specific outcome. I didn't have any classes to where the outcome would be explaining the role of business in the global environment. But I'm quite sure that as I continue on into the bachelor's degree program, that I will be able to meet this specific outcome, at least on the business, on the bachelor side of things. So I'm going to dive into the second program outcome, and that is recognize management and leadership skills. I do have evidence of this that I met with my portfolio project as I reflect back upon the introduction to project management. Now, when I think of introduction to project management, that in itself right there, you have to have management and leadership skills to lead a project team, to lead any team in particular. It requires good interpersonal skills, communication skills, and that's very important to be able to effectively communicate to other team members when doing various projects, whether it can be projects at home or it can be projects in the workplace. But it's very important that you have interpersonal, because you're going to be meeting different kinds of people with different backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds. So you got to know how to effectively communicate and work together as a team, because that's what a project is all about, is working together. Now, you do have solo projects, but when you work as a project as a team, it is important to be able to communicate, to be able to motivate, to be a leader when it comes to working with others. And I feel as though this particular portfolio project, I was able to recognize those management and leadership skills. And it applies in the workplace today. With my current employer at Dollar Tree, we do projects on a daily basis. You know, sometimes we have to go to other departments. Sometimes we have to work on various products, issues that may go on in the warehouse. So we have to work together with others from various departments. And a manager needs to call upon other managers. Hey, do you have somebody you can spare? I got a project. I need this person to, clean for me for about 2 hours. Is there, somebody else that can, fill in? So there's always special projects that are going on in the warehouse that requires managers to communicate with other managers to see if there's somebody, temporarily can do that particular function for that employee. So it happens on a daily basis within my employer. So I see the real importance, the real life application of being able to effectively lead and manage a project team in order to continue the success for the company. The third program outcome what I'm going to discuss is to demonstrate knowledge of numeric measurements within the business environment to make informed decisions. Now, this portfolio project, or outcome I should say, was met when I was taking one class in particular, and that was the Sales and Service Principles class. And when I think about sales and service principles, when I think of sales, I think of numbers. Sales is what drives business, is what makes company profit. So if sales is based on numbers, then you got to be able to know numbers. You got to know a little bit of math in order to make informed decisions. Because if you don't make the right decisions based on the numbers that were calculated, you can end up making a wrong business decision that can ultimately cost the company money and thus turn a profit into a loss. So I think it's important that we have the basic numeric functions in place. And I think this sales and service principles course that I took illustrated that. For this particular project, I had to detail a company and include information about its history, its location, sales trends, product offering. All that is very important when determining, sales, future projected scales. I think that's very important, because if you have all the information at hand, then you can make a sound, informed decision. This applies in the real world because I take, for instance, right now, Dollar Tree sales are phenomenal. I mean, just in 1 week alone, sales were $285 million in just 1 week. Now, that is phenomenal for 1 week of sales for Dollar Tree. But it couldn't have been made possible if the company didn't make sound decisions based on the data on hand. Being able to, know how much product to ship out. Well, we're going to ship out 100,000 of this. We're going to ship out 100,000 of that. Being able to keep the stores stocked, full of merchandise. That's very important, because knowing how much to send will help keep the stores shelved and therefore keep the sales going. So I think it's very important for a business, when you're making decisions, to have the facts at hand. And numbers are very important to that. You got to be able to know what you're talking about, and you got to be able to know your numbers. Numbers and sales go hand in hand, and it is, to me, it is vital to a company's success. The next program outcome that I'm going to discuss is select and apply current technology skills to specific business applications such as social media and cloud technology. Well, the Office Technology Software 3 definitely met this program outcome, because in this class I had to do a portfolio project in which there was 3 parts to it. The first was the word portion of the project, in which I had to write a 1-page narrative. The next portion was doing the Excel, so I had to know and master Microsoft Excel, which I have in the past before, being that I work on my own personal budget. So I had some familiarity with Excel, but this class helped further strengthen my skills in Microsoft Excel. And then the next portion of it was the Microsoft Access portion, which was the database portion of the project. So that's how I was able to apply the technology skills, because I had to learn Microsoft Word. I had to know and understand Excel and Access, because I'll use my current employee, for example, Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree uses, now, albeit it is Windows 7 Professional, but they still use Microsoft Word. They use Excel for various spreadsheets in terms of time, calculating production, and so forth. And then more so on the HR side, they use Access, the database portion, for keeping track of all employee records, income, and so forth. So having a general understanding of the current technology and software would help, especially when it comes to cloud technology. Even social media, using various types of social media. You can share various Word, Access, and Excel portions. You can import and export it to various social media. But you got to be able to know how to do that. You got to have at least a thorough knowledge and understanding of Word, Excel, and Access to do that. But in the real world workplace, most companies today use Microsoft Excel. HR uses Access. You got to know Word, you got to be able to type. And in my future career as a manager, I will have the necessary knowledge and skills, because I've already in the past have familiarized myself with Word and Excel. And now with my knowledge and skills and Access, I'll be able to maintain databases for employees and maintain accurate, detailed records, so that if I need to pull up a record, I can do so instantly with the snap of a finger. So this class helped me to not only apply it, to understand it, and to get a deeper understanding. Because when I become a manager, they ask me, do you know how to work on Excel? Do you know how to do Microsoft Word? Absolutely. And I'll be able to demonstrate to them on the spot the technology skills I have when it comes to computer software. So this class, this Office Technology Software 3, definitely helped me meet this program outcome, not just from an institutional standpoint, but in a business standpoint as well. And I actually thank the teacher and the class for giving me that knowledge and skills. The next program outcome I'm going to discuss is identify and apply the basic functions of management, such as staffing, planning, organizing, controlling, and leading to the decision-making process. Well, one class that comes to mind in which I was able to meet that was the Business 215 Management Principles course. I learned a lot in this course. The all multifacets of being a manager. The basic functions of management, like it says in the outcome. Knowing your staffing. You got to coordinate your staffing. How to anticipate if people call out. How that affects your staffing. How that affects the goal for the shift in terms of meeting production. Take that all into account. The planning. The organizing. Managers, like for instance at Dollar Tree. Managers have the, second shift starts at 3 p.m. Most of the managers start arriving there between 2 and 2:30. Being able to plan and organize, get an idea of the staffing. They check the call out line, the employee call out line database to see if anybody called out, because that affects your staffing. And if you're shorthanded, you may have to pull other people from other departments, which comes into communication skills as a manager, controlling and leading to the decision-making process. All of this is what I learned in management principles. In fact, my portfolio project, I talked about motivation, because I think it's very important as a manager. You have to motivate people. People motivate in different ways. Some do self-motivation. But others, you just need that extra bit of encouragement, that extra, that push, to drive them to be successful. Not just productive, but we want them to be successful. Because at the end of the day, those skills can translate into other responsibilities as well. And being a motivator is self-gratifying to know that you made a difference for someone. At least to me, I feel like when I motivate somebody, I'm encouraging them. I'm not downing them. I'm not talking bad about them. I'm uplifting them to want them to succeed. And everybody does it different ways. That's why it's important as a manager. You should probably build a rapport with your employees, at least your direct employees that report to you. Because I think it's very important that if you have that type of rapport and at least that type of work relationship, that people would tend to gravitate to you and look up to you and will want to succeed for you and for them. And this class alone helped me to understand what it takes to be a manager, the things that are involved. For instance, I can apply this to when I'm at Dollar Tree. And I keep saying Dollar Tree because that's my current employer. And my career goal is to become a manager. And I can see how this class, I can already apply it to here at Dollar Tree. As a manager, I'm going to have to learn all the departments, which I already do because I have over 15 years of warehouse logistics distribution experience. So I know pretty much everything there is to know. It's just now knowing the company way, the company specific way. That's the only thing I would need to learn. Computer, no problem. I just need to know the Dollar Tree functions and Dollar Tree way and Dollar Tree systems. And once I do that, everything else will fall into play. But I know as a manager, I'm going to have to understand staffing. I'm going to have to know, well, hey, if Johnny and Susie don't show up, how's that going to affect my bottom line? I got to be able to calculate how does that affect my goal. Do I need to pull from another, two people from another department in order to meet my goal? What do I need to do? So that requires planning. I need to organize. I'm not going to have my desk all cluttered and no, I'm going to be very detailed. I'm going to be very organized. I'm going to have a little systematic way of doing things. And if the original plan don't work, I'm always going to have a backup as well. And see, all this will lead to me making sound, better informed decisions in the workplace. And sometimes, especially at Dollar Tree, you got to be able to make sound decisions on the fly because things happen instantly and you got to be able to be adaptive to change. But at least this gives me some of the basic things and functions that I will have to deal with if and when I do become a manager at Dollar Tree. The next program outcome that I'm going to talk about, and it's actually the last program outcome that I'm going to discuss with you, is formulate ethical decision-making skills that can be applied in the workplace. Well, one class that comes to mind that certainly I was able to meet this program outcome was the Business 213, Business Law and Ethics. I think it speaks for itself. I learned not only business law, which, to be quite honest with you, I learned quite a bit about business law. And in fact, sometimes in my spare time, I follow up in learning more about the different types of business law, copyright, patent. There's just so much things I learned about it in terms of vacation time, unemployment insurance laws. It was so many laws that I learned that I wanted to know more. And there are times in which, even after I've taken this course, that I've actually gone back and followed up and educate myself to know the various laws, especially concerning in my state, which is in Virginia. But more importantly than just understanding the law, you have to understand the ethics behind it. Because sometimes they go hand in hand. You can violate an ethic violation for the company and violate the law as well, whether it's state law or federal law. So I learned that the two go hand in hand. And you have to be able to make decisions, effective decisions, that have an impact in the workplace. For instance, if we have a contract and they come in and deliver the goods and I say, hey, and they tell me, hey, I give you, if you give me $100 on the side, man, I won't charge your company for shipments. Or better yet, I'm gonna give you this. I'm gonna give you a lunch on the house, or I'm gonna give you this nice. They give me some gifts. I can't accept that because you're a vendor. That could have, an effect, an influence on company decisions. You can't do that. Bribes. That's not good either. That's very unethical. Even in the workplace today, you hear all this, what's in the news now about sexual harassment that's going on. Where in the workplace, it is dead wrong and it's also unethical as well. And see, this class helped me to appreciate the do's and don'ts of what is ethical and what is not ethical. And sometimes it's a judgment call. Sometimes it's not always as clear in black and white. Sometimes there is a gray area. And you got to be able to make a sound judgment call on whether the decision that you're about to do, is that ethical or unethical? Are you complying or violating the law? And this class helped me to understand further how my actions and decisions can affect others, not just in the workplace, but in my personal life as well. And this can be applied in the workplace because at Dollar Tree, or at least on the distribution side, we have vendors. I don't want to, when you have UPS come, we give me a bribe or I bribe him, that's not good. Or we exchange gifts. I mean, that's not good either. That's to me is unethical. Wouldn't do that. It can be the vending machine, the vendor who services our vending machines. We take a bribe from him or we quote unquote hook him up or he hooks us up. I mean, it's just unethical and it can just lead to moral and implications down the road, and it's just not cool. Why go through all that hassle when you can just if you do it right and you make the sound decision, hey, sometimes it may not always be popular, but at least you'll have a job, you won't be going to jail, and most of all, you won't hurt the company's profit and bottom line. So those are how all my portfolio projects connect to the business program outcomes and how they can be applied in the workplace. I thank you very much for tuning in. This is Marley G. Burnell signing off. Thank you.